but then you wouldn't be with me.
That would be easier.
All right, so we don't have to go in order. What would be any up here that you feel fairly confident that I know number 2 is going to be like F or G or anything along those lines? So let's start with the ones that we feel good about knowing.
I said genre.
Generalization?
No, genre.
Oh, genre, I'm sorry.
It's L.
So number 8, you're going L, correct. And I'll put cross that off just so we know what's there. So that is a category of literature, art, or music. Amirioni? Okay. So 14 going F. And you are absolutely correct. So we got a humorous play on words. So a lot of times it would be like double meaning. I didn't tell you the Kohl's story.
No.
Went to Kohl's to get an orange shirt to match my orange pen.
No, you did not.
True, but I went to Kohl's. There was a guy walking in, I was with the family, and there was a guy walking like this.
Like a horse?
No, kind of like a flamingo. And I looked at Mrs. Kane, and I said, that man is going to hell. And then she said, don't say that, because like little kids were around.
Well,
And I said, it's true, he has a bad soul, because his shoe was falling apart, and he went to buy some new shoes.
That's funny.
So that was a pop.
wait.
Thank you for laughing.
That is funny. I'm gonna use that now.
I don't know.
Bad
That's
soul.
where he was going. Maybe he had a 30% coupon. That's probably why we were there.
You know what? That's.
All right, so we got genre, we got pun. Gia? Soliloquy number 17 is A. And as I'm crossing these off, certainly when you're going to be doing your test on Friday, you're going to want to do the same thing. But don't be the person who does this, where you can't see it, because if you end up going, wait a minute, something's not right here, and you don't know what C is now because you just completely crossed the whole thing out. Austin? So number 16, satire, K. You are correct. Humor used to criticize. Dialect number 5 is H, which is also correct. H. Oops, almost wrote 5. H. There we go. Nick, and then Hayden will come over to you. Propaganda for number 13, yes. So info that is used to persuade. G. Propaganda. Hayden.
15 is M.
Red herring. Yes. And remember, that was the one where we kind of talked about, like, people are starving, so you must eat your vegetables. They're bringing in outside information to try to guilt you into something. Okay? Generalization number 7 is D. Correct. Ben?
Syntax is R.
Okay, which is going to be down here at the bottom with number 18. Keith, you had another one?
Yeah, number 12 is T.
Primary source, evidence that is used at the time, yes. It's not on here. Anyone remember what the other kind of source would be? If it's not used at the time, like published afterwards, it's called a secondary source. So a textbook typically is a secondary source. Zach? Number 20, tone is C. You are correct. Katie, you had one?
It's number 4S.
Bias is S, yes. So, and meaning that you're already against something before that issue comes up. Max, and then Austin will come over to you.
An illusion.
Not N. It's on, the definition is on the page, like is on the screen right now then. So it's in this NOPQ area.
Oh, then.
Yeah. Allusion's going to be P, reference to something. Austin, you had one? Theme down at the bottom with number 19 is N. Yep, that message. So
Idiom is I.
No. Darn it. Zach? 11 is J, inference. So basically that's going to be like a guess. Idiom,
E.
B. B as in boy. So the definition of the words themselves wouldn't work for what the phrase means. So it's raining cats and dogs. You wouldn't look outside and going, "There's Muffin and Fido and Rex coming
I
down."
actually did that before. I said it was raining cats and dogs, and I put my friend's cat out the window.
That's not good.
That's the way.
Hopefully it didn't drop.
I did it.
Thank you.
L is
Not L. We already used L, but
I.
I. Yeah, I think you might have got confused. So right there, allegory is going to be E. And then the only one left would be diction, which is going to be
Wait,
use
write
of
down the
word.
list of
Oh, and
things.
hyperbole we didn't do yet. Yeah, I'll still go through here. And exaggeration for effect would be that hyperbole. So, so 1 through 5, we'd be going E, P, I, S, H. 6 through 10, O, D, L, Q, B. 11 through 15, starting with inference, J, T, G, F, M. And the last 5 are going to be, Karnic, K-A-R-N-C. Now, the two things that are going to be drastically different about Friday. The one that you're not crazy about is that there's not going to be 20 words, but there are going to be 40 words. Because if it's a word on list 1, 2, 3, or 4, it is going to be on that test for Friday. Okay, so Katie's not happy about it. Not displeased, but you're not excited about it. However, the thing that is important for you to also know, and I think this is one that you would be happier about, would be that when you are matching them, and it is still going to be strictly matching, it's not like sentences the way that we've been doing for your vocab tests, you're going to have 1 through 5. 1 through 5 are only going to match up with A through E. Then, when you get 6 through 10, rather than it saying F through J, this will be another A, B, C, D, E. So you are going to have 8 sets of vocabulary words, 8 sets of 5, where those 5 words only match up with those 5 definitions. So yes, there are more words, but you could argue that this could be trickier in the sense that you have more words and definitions that you'd be worried about matching up. So if you're taking a look at number 21 and going 21 through 25, it's not going to be matching up with the definition that's like 1 through 5. So 5 words at a time, only those 5 at a time. You'll have it on an actual sheet like this, so you can certainly cross off definitions as you use it. Same number of words, same number of definitions. You don't have to worry about any of that. Some will be used once, twice, none at all, any of those things. The most common grade, over the last several years, honestly, is an A. Usually it's a 38 out of 40, a 36 out of 40, certainly some 40s out of 40s.
A 15 out of 40.
No, I think you'll do a little better than a 15 out of 40. And by little, I'm hoping that that's hyperbole where we would be doing much better than this. All right. So Friday, vocab, lists 1 through 4. If it's a word, it'll be on there. I think on Sunday night I sent you out a Quizlet that had all 40 words on there, so you can certainly go through those and kind of try to double check. All right. So take a look at your active reading now. Going back to the pedestrian. What, this one? It's pretty heavy. Actually, I have one. What's happening to the sidewalks
It's getting rainy. Oh, they're wet.
in the story?
No, it's not.
In the story.
I have my answer.
Well, I don't want to worry about answering it quite yet, but like literally what's happening to the sidewalks, and you can even take a, like what I circled. Okay, so they are essentially falling apart.
Yeah.
So, what ominous fact about this future society is foreshadowed or hinted at, or basically, what is an inference that we would be making at the fact that there are buckling concrete walkways? Max, did you have an answer?
Yes, it's ominous fact about the future society that is hinted for or foreshadow is the ground used to be in use, but now the ground hasn't been used. And foreshadow it may be used less and less.
So, since the concrete walk is buckling and it's not getting repaired, you'd be arguing that people are no longer using it.
Yeah.
Okay. Hayden,
Yeah.
you go in similar format for it. Okay, so the ominous fact would be, since the sidewalk not only is buckling but is not being repaired, people no longer use them. Why wouldn't people use them anymore?
They have this screen in their house that they watch all the time, that they use it.
So we're sitting in the house watching TV, flickering screens.
No one has the need to.
There's no point to go out.
Yeah. If everything is available inside them and everything is automated, then what's the point?
Because I need to get my 10,000 steps.
Do you really?
Really?
I try.
Put it on your dog and let him walk around.
I don't have
Now
that.
your dog will probably get arrested for walking
Ooh,
out
9,143.
Why don't
All today.
All today.
Wait, did you go for a walk this morning?
there. Or is it just for walking around?
It is 10:59.
Wait, you don't go that far around the school, do you?
Today was a basketball day. Played basketball in the morning, so I got
Oh.
like 6,000 right there.
Did you?
So the fact that people do not want to go anywhere, there's no longer going to be use for sidewalks. They're simply going to be focused on what's on their screen. That's going to be kind of the ominous part, that there's no reason to leave at
Someone
all.
at the door.
But they didn't do the double secret knock.
She's scary.
It's for me.
I mean, it's lunch money if you do it.
Tyler, it looks like you have, I can't tell, it's a security envelope. Yep. All right, based on details in the opening paragraph, how would we describe overall setting? What would be ways to describe setting? Hayden, since we didn't get you for number one, what do you have for number two?
It is, I said the setting is dreary and desolate.
Dreary,
Mead is the only one around.
okay. So dreary and desolate, ominous could end up kind of being a word as well. But certainly the fact that he is isolated, that he is alone. Leonard is isolated and alone is going to kind of lead to this kind of this idea of him being dreary and desolate. What kind of place does he live in? Meaning, is it rural? Is it urban? Is it suburban? It is a city. It's an urban place. Kind of like a Los Angeles type area. So this would be a place where you would expect that there would be a lot of people in tight quarters, and he is the only one who is going to be walking around at this point.
Did you see that?
I wasn't really paying attention.
It was a clean shot, dated. I just thought I'd share it.
And what it did for you was,
Boost my clout level.
okay, there you go. Number three, how would you describe the mood? What would be some descriptive terms that kind of set this mood? Zach, I know you got a word for here. Okay, now, is that what your mood was, or is that like your example? Okay, what words would help with that? Well, we've already said those things. Does he use spooky? Okay, well, show me words that we have on page 57.
I said,
Okay,
Alone in this world.
Lee, you said alone?
Just alone in this world.
Okay, so I'll use alone.
Louie.
It's been going on for 10 minutes.
Oh,
I'll keep it going.
No, Phantom.
Phantom.
Yeah, Phantom. Fire
The windows are considered dark windows, which is going to kind of have this tomb-like effect that is taking place. So it's okay when it comes to the mood that you can describe it as being eerie and ominous. For those of you, let's not. For those of you that still have to complete a constructed response for tomorrow, what do you need to identify in the story? The author's overall mood. You're going to want to get specific words that are going to help support that. Number 3 is going to be one of those go-to areas that you could take a look on page 57 because you have specific terms or phrases that are help explaining that mood. The critical part, of course, is to explain, all right, how does the use of the word tomb, kind of help with an eerie kind of mood and things like that. So that's where your words will have to come in, your explanation to it. But you can certainly use something like an eerie or an ominous mood, and these words by all means would go ahead and support that. So any of the questions that are referencing mood, those would be good ones to take a look at because that could certainly be beneficial when it comes to you explaining how that mood is being described. The words wintry, windless, desert, dry suggest about Meade's impression of the urban landscape at night. Normally, what would these things tend to describe? Wintry, dry, desert, even kind of like desolate.
Rainforest.
So environment, depending upon what kind you're looking at, maybe not a desert and dry, but these things could be environment based, so they're going to be very arid, empty. Austin, don't toss it. Yeah, but you understand what his catching skills are.
My pass was better than that. Power. Get on my list.
So what's the impression that it gives us?
Number 4. I said he finds himself in a desert all alone, with nothing around him, and a road that goes miles upon miles.
So he's in an empty landscape, and you said no one around him, which is going to be, as we were mentioning here, very ironic, because he should be in a busy, populated
Now, where does this
area.
story take place? Does it have a specific country?
It's meant to be U.S.
Okay, so maybe this is only the U.S. is like that, and maybe the other places of the world are normal.
Well, and what's the year that this is taking place in?
2050.
2053. So this is again going to be like his kind of foreshadow. Well, I don't know if foreshadowing is going to be the right word, but his prediction of what we'll be looking at.
What, the entire world? Just the USA?
So
Yes.
West Coast. He's living in Los Angeles at the time. That's where most probably go. It's LA.
It's not our world. That's not what it is.
Tyler, how come only one police car? Which that would be a good thing.
It's kind of like a utopia.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry for answers.
That was so corny.
Just keep going with my pun. No more crime, no need for a policeman because all that we have here at this point is a police car. So the positive side would be you have a society that is not going to be attacking one another. You have a society that's not going to be bullying one another. You have a society that's not going to be murdering one another. The downside would be, based from our earlier questions, you also have a society that is not leaving anywhere. So there is no interaction taking place. So is it a good, and this is a rhetorical question, it's not one that can be answered necessarily, is it better to have a society where people do communicate with one another, but you do have things like crime, or is it better to be in a place where you don't have any of this physical crime taking place, but you don't have people who are necessarily living their lives?
2 or 3 police cars in case anything ever happens.
Just for emergency's sake.
Yes.
Bradbury's purpose for having the police say that writing is no profession.
I miss paper.
So if you have all TV, no need for magazines, books, could be plays, could be comic books, keeps going on and on and on and on. But if everything is going to be visual based, then words are essentially going to start to disappear. If no one writes, no one.
You're not gonna be able to
If no one writes, then no one is going to read. And then domino effect could start being, do you therefore no longer have school? Do you have, how much do
I would
words
love
end
that.
up getting used? If you have, do you have advertisements anymore? Can you have billboards and things like that if language kind of starts to disappear?
We have pretty well.
So it's like, instead of US, it's like having like, what if like, when the choice, anybody, like, down the side.
I mean, we still do. I don't think we certainly don't do it, I would say, as much as we used to. You know, probably like if the go-to in the summertime was, you know, Zach, go outside, play baseball, football, whatever.
But now.
And also we didn't have air conditioning, you know, back then quite as much where you were gonna go outside anyway. But you have more people who certainly are going to stay in. When you use your phone, what's the primary way in which you communicate with your phone?
Radiation.
My guess is probably text, some kind of form of text more so than anything else.
I use
You said
Morse code.
corny jokes. There's the corny dad jokes on the radio about there's a new app on your phone. It's called a phone, like where you talk to someone because we don't talk anymore. When you send your text, what do you do to your language?
I use.
Simplify it.
Simplify it,
I don't-
abbreviate it.
I use.
LNA.
Now,
But yesterday,
Oh man, that.
Katie. Katie.
Laughing my freaking butt off.
You almost said it.
What? I say it on purpose. Butt off. I don't say that word.
So, let's see here.
What
Doesn't
What am I
lie.
going by?
what do you use instead of words?
That's
Abbreviations.
That was the show.
I say that instead of that.
So, four.
Or
So far as writing, listen up. So far as writing then no longer being profession, if you have faces that are going to replace words, why do you have to use words? Why do you have to learn words? Why do you end up going to school if a little frowny face or something with Z's is going to be working? Katie, keep on trying, please.
Okay.
See, you can't even.
I bet some people do. I would agree that you can.
Me and my
That
mom
it's
do.
not gonna, hold on, that it's not going to be as meaningful.
My mom puts the
I think
toilet
some would
paper
argue. I
in
think
the
some would argue.
She's like, can you bring up toilet paper?
Dude,
Just the stairs. And
why are you talking about?
Words and phrases in the paragraph for number 7 that begin with "you might say" that suggest a mood of death and despair. Within here, there are a couple. We have "tomb" gets used for number 7. What else happens? There's certainly a D word that's getting used. We have "tomb." We also have
Downtown.
"death" and "dead" get used. We have "ill-fated" is getting used. "Gray" is getting used. Again, if for your constructed response you have some areas that you need to fill in, hold on.
Oh no.
Keep them out. Max, keep them out. Okay,
Ow, right in my eyes.
please. Okay. Thank you. If that constructive response is an area that you still need to fill in, you have a specific mood here and you have specific words that can go in. There's absolutely, Hayden, there's absolutely zero reason why by tomorrow I shouldn't have a constructive response, a meaningful, well-written one from everyone, because you have the answers to it literally on here if it hasn't been completed yet. Number 8, in this portion of the story, this is when the policeman or the police car is talking to Leonard. During the conversation, and you can see it in the column, all they have is the dialogue. So you have what the conversation is, but what is missing is you don't have Leonard said, the car responded, Leonard questioned, things like that. Why take those things out?
I sort of makes it feel like more suspenseful because you don't, well, you know, you have an idea of who's saying what, but more like, it's more like thought kind of like.
Well, and you know who's saying what because you only have 2 characters. So it's going to be a back and forth. Austin says something, then Hannah says something, then Austin, then Hannah. It's not like we have Tyler throwing things in where it's completely going to throw
I
us
feel like
off.
it makes it more like controversial.
And
It's time to go.
it it's quicker to read because you're not pausing and going, Hannah said, or Leonard said, or Zach said that.
What are they like? How do like young shit there?
So by not having them, by what Austin's saying is it's going to be kind of reading a little bit more quickly. It's going to create a mood of suspense, and if the dialogue is realistic and the suspense is realistic, it certainly is going to make the whole scene realistic, as if you're seeing it kind of unfold. So it would be normal to go, yes, Leonard said, or someone said, or whatever. But if you know that you have characters that people can kind of follow that conversation no matter what, there's no need to include it so long as you have a purpose and effect that you were trying to look for with it. Constructive responses, need to have those things tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be taking a look at the review for the two report.